how differently do you think everything would have looked if you were in control of the edit? If the lead controlled the edit and the narrative?
That's a great question, actually.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the People Person Podcast, episode 98. We are creeping up on episode 100 very soon. If you're not listening by now, I don't care. It's too late for you. So now it's just my OGs. If you're not listening by episode 100, then it's too late for you. But today we are joined by a very special guest. She's probably dumped more dudes than any person in human history. I haven't fact checked that, but it's up there. She's an absolute baller, and this is technically our second hangout, so I now consider us friends. Former Bachelorette Katie Thurston is here. Katie, how you doing today?
Good morning. I'm like, what time? I don't know what time it is right now.
It's 1 o'clock for me, so it's afternoon, but
Well, it's my morning. It's 10 o'clock here.
well, good morning.
Good morning and
There you
afternoon.
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to wish you a happy Women's History Month.
That's very sweet.
Of course. How, in your own words, why are women better than men?
In my own words. God, where do I start?
I know.
Do we have enough time?
We might not. We can cut some stuff if you want, but yeah.
We go through so much, whether it's mentally, physically, in the workforce, just dating. Men complain about having to pay for somebody on a date, and it's like, well, women have to like share their location when they go on a date. So it's like, I think your guys' problems are a lot smaller than ours. Oh, sorry, my cat's wanting to join the conversation.
Yes.
I mean, we're just the dominant species. I don't know.
Yeah, just better in every category.
Just better. We're just better. We go through so much shit, and we're still here surviving.
And again, that's why you guys get a whole month, and as you should. You should get the whole year. It should be a whole year, but
thank you.
Baby steps. We start with a month. Now, okay, you're in my dumb little world now. You've ventured over here to my podcast, so I need to start with something that I've been wanting to ask you about and get answers for about 3 years now.
I know.
You know exactly where I was going.
What this is.
And so the problem with this is it's probably bad podcasting to start with something that nobody else in the world cares about, only me, but Hoodie Gate. And for those who don't know, Hoodie Gate is while your season was airing of The Bachelorette, all of a sudden I go on Instagram, I'm driving with my friends, I check Instagram stories, and all of a sudden you're wearing one of our hoodies. One of the hoodies that I have right here. I have a billion of these things just laying around the studio. All of a sudden you're just wearing one as the current Bachelorette, and I lose my shit. I'm like, how did this happen? What is going on? What happened? How? Why? When? Where? I need Hoodie Gate answers, finally.
I'm pretty sure it was Chasen's or at Chasen's house.
Yes.
And he had a party, and I think I was obviously cold, and he let me borrow the sweatshirt.
And that's the
end of that story.
So that story makes me think Chasen gave it out as a handout as he didn't like the hoodie and wanted to give it away. So now I'm mad at Chasen.
I will say that probably would check out, because if you're giving out a hoodie, especially to someone you're not romantically involved in,
exactly,
you are never seeing that hoodie again. So in his defense, it's kind of like a win-win, because he's like, oh, I was just being nice, helping out a friend, but really he was also finding a genius way to just get rid of it forever.
I mean, it's kind of rude, but it worked out on my end, because then all of a sudden you're wearing it on an Instagram story. So that, I mean, everything happens for a reason, I guess.
I don't know where it went after.
I'm gonna send you 6 more, all size, every single size. The problem is with this hoodie, I've talked about this before. I have about 30 different like quadruple XLs that I don't know what to do with. No one's buying them, and like I don't even sell them anymore. I just have a full shelf of these hoodies. I don't know what to do with, so I'm gonna send you way too much. You're just gonna wear it every single day.
Great.
Yeah. You know what you're signing up for here. All right. I want to ask a few questions about your season, just like grand scheme of things. So your season aired what, like 2 years ago now? It probably feels like forever ago.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I barely like remember that time period. That was like still COVID and everything. It's just a blur. But my question for you is, how differently do you think everything would have looked if you were in control of the edit? If the lead controlled the edit and the narrative?
That's a great question, actually. I think the men who progressed to the final like 7 could have been very different.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How so? Like
I
who?
mean, well, it's hard to know, but like
Yeah.
I do remember on the first night, I really wanted to talk to John, which then we ended up actually dating in real life.
Yeah.
But it was so chaotic the first night. There really wasn't enough time. And so the first time I talked to John was like him and 2 other guys, like just like last minute, like, we're running out of time. Here you go. Whereas then you have like other people like Greg or Michael who are getting like very supported like one-on-one time of like, oh, you guys have fun, take your time, the night is young, you know. And so that just all of like every moment counts in terms of who goes further. And so sometimes it's not even about who's the best guy, it's just like who you spent the most time with. So like mentally, of course you're gonna like fall for these guys because you know them more, whereas like people like John, I didn't really get to know him on the season. And I mean, there's plenty of others, there's 30 of them, but
Yeah.
it all can make a difference for sure.
Do you think that could work if that was like if they just said, screw it, ratings are down, everything sucks right now, nothing's working. If we just let the lead, like obviously like not actually sit down and edit, but like control the narrative and control the edit in that sense. Because obviously it's very producer heavy. Like you don't really have that much control, which is dumb if you think about the concept of the show. But how do you think that could work? Like, could it still be an entertaining way for people to watch it while still maybe being more successful?
Truthfully, I don't actually,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of things that the producers know that I don't, you know, and like that's being used for like an entertainment piece. You
Mhm.
know, women, we have such a short like we don't have patience for drama. So we would literally just be like, you're annoying,
Yeah.
you're stupid, kick out all the villains, all the drama. And then what is left? Just like a girl falling in love with like 3 guys, which I know that should be like what the show's about,
Yeah.
but like that you can only watch like happiness for so long on a 2-hour episode week after week after week. You want drama, you want tears, you want like depth, you know? So like
Yeah.
to a certain extent, I do think producers are necessary for the, I don't know what you want
Wow.
to call it, manufactured
Yeah. Well,
outcomes.
I never thought you'd be a pro producer answer, kind of.
I look,
Never thought.
I'm not saying it's fun. I'm not saying I
Yeah.
would ever do it. You suffer the consequences
Yeah.
mentally, but I mean, it's a show. You got to entertain people.
Yeah. Then speaking of the show, so there's a point where like almost every season a lead like threatens to leave the show or like it seems like they're gonna leave. And for me, like as a viewer, it always seems like an empty threat. It feels like they can't really just like leave. How plausible would it have been for you to just be like, peace, I'm out of here? Or like contractually, like how much would that screw you over if you actually just like, you know what, I'm done, I'm out.
You know, I don't know, because the first thought on like in my mind if I left is like it does screw over like a whole workforce. I'm not
Yeah.
talking like producers. I'm talking like everybody. Like people are making money off me, you know?
Mhm.
And so I do wonder like, okay, if I had just left, how does this like financially impact, you know, the sound people, the camera crew? What happens to the edit? Because now I've screwed everyone over, and there's how do they edit a full season? Like there's this weight that is on you that's like no matter what you do feel like you have to come to some kind of conclusion. And so as much as I wanted to leave, I was literally thinking of like everybody else and then also the consequences of that had I actually like left the show.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because you're basically put in a situation where you have all the responsibility and like the burden of being like the boss of this company, this train that's so well put together and been working for so long, but you don't get any of the control that the boss has in other situations, which is really weird. Where like you just get all the negative sides of that, which is just an interesting dynamic, I guess, to be. I don't know. That's tough. Who who is so I'm gonna preface this by saying we ban a lot of people on the show. You probably can't read any of them, but I like to ban people. So like Robbie Arnett, he's banned
Okay.
because I'm in love with Elizabeth Olsen, who is his wife, and so it's kind of rude of him to marry her when I'm in love with her. Army Hammer's up there because he's a cannibal. That's bad. Uh, Louis C.K.'s up there for similar reasons. I guess not similar, but whatever. Liam Hemsworth were pro Miley stands here, and apparently he cheated on her. So like stuff like that. So then
Okay.
I'm prefacing that. My question is, I don't know who like the boss is for you. Like when you're on the show, obviously you're talking to producers all the time. Like who's the guy, the girl like pulling the strings up there? Is it like the head of ABC, Warner, but whatever? Like you might not be, you might not know that answer, but I'm
Yeah,
just
it's like the Wizard of Oz. Like there's
yeah,
like at the end of the day, I'm sure there's like some final person, but I do think it's a like a team effort. You have
yeah,
producers who are like on the floor in the mess of it all. You have producers like sitting back in like an editing room watching it like live on like 20 cameras. I don't know. I could be making that up, but I just know there's
yeah.
like so many hands in the pot that I don't actually know like
Hmm.
how they decide which story is getting shown, because you have my producer and then his producer and like all these people, how do you
Yeah.
then come to an agreement of like, all right, this is the bit we're going to focus on?
Yeah. No, I really want to get a name so I can ban a specific name because last season of my live show, we banned all of ABC, which seemed a little aggressive. And then we wanted to watch like the NBA finals, which was on NBC or ABC. I was like, shit, we can't do that now. So it's tricky. I think another idea that Bachelor World could do, they should air the same season twice with two completely different edits. I
Oof.
thought that would they should like a director's cut like on Netflix or something. Like it's the same exact cast, same season. They just edit it completely different just to show people like, whoa, this is it like peels back the curtain. You're like, holy shit, this is all manufactured.
But I don't know that they want that. I don't know, like you're
True.
selling reality, you're selling real. And if you get to show two exact seasons
Yeah.
totally different, that's like not in their favor.
Yeah. A YouTuber should do that. They should take all the clips just that they do air on television and try to edit it together and
Oh.
make like a dip. I don't have the like wherewithal to do that, but if someone wants to steal that idea, go for it. That'd be
I
awesome.
that's actually a great concept. Or like even the
Yeah,
background music makes a difference, Is
yeah,
it sad music or happy music that makes a difference on like the breakup?
yeah. You could literally edit someone like whoever wins, make them seem like the worst person ever. I feel like if you just like clip it together, right? So I'm really good at coming up with ideas on this show where I don't do anything to follow up with it. So if someone just listens and runs with it, makes a lot of money, I don't need anything. Just take it. That'd be cool. But that's interesting. It's all in the edit. It's interesting. Um, so you would have you had the pressure to leave the show, but you technically could have left if you wanted to.
I never pushed, like I don't know.
You don't
I
know.
don't know because I never
Okay.
pushed it that far. I thought about it. I shut down for like a day. Everyone's like coming together to try and like push me to finish the last. I don't even know how many days were left after that because we were like so close.
Yeah.
So then I was just like, fine. So I don't know what would have happened if I
Hmm.
actually wanted to leave. Like, could I? Was there a penalty? What happens as the after? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think I'm glad I didn't have to find out. It probably wouldn't have been great.
Yeah. Another what if situation from your season. So a lot of people forget that Blake didn't show up until like week 3. Well, he wasn't there night 1. How like how do you think the season would have gone if he never showed up? And like, were you expecting him to show up, or someone to come in?
Um, I remember them telling me someone was coming. There was another guy that I thought it could have been too. And I was like, if it's that guy, I'm sending him home right away. So it better not be. Because I think there was like rumors about some other people. And I was like, if it's that person, I will send them back
Do you
so
remember who that
fast.
was?
I don't actually. Okay, here's some fun tea actually, and I think
Yes.
I can say this because he never made it on the cast. But there was a guy whose ex-wife was a contestant on a previous season, and I want to say he's from Utah or something. And I wish I could tell you a name. I know people, if there's any like super fans listening or like Redditors, they would
Yeah.
maybe know. But it just felt really like clout chasey to be like, oh, so your ex-wife was a contestant. So now you want to be a contestant? Like that just
Yeah.
red flag. So I was like, if this person's on, please no. But yeah, I don't even remember if I remember thinking Blake. I don't know. It was so long ago.
Mhm. But if
But
he doesn't show up, what do you think? How do you think the rest of the season goes?
I would be curious, like how Greg's confidence in us would have gone. I'd be curious if Michael would have stayed because here's the thing, at the end of the day, like I wanted to leave, but I was convinced to stay. you know? So it's like, had Greg or Michael wanted to leave, could they have been convinced to stay, you know? And had they stayed, how would that have impacted our relationship? Those are the two that come to mind, because I just remember they were like a top two at that time, right before Blake came in. And actually, Blake had to wait a little bit for like my answer. I don't remember why. Like, I think just timing wise, like it was all funky. And then I just remember being like, look, my relationships are already progressing. Like he wasn't a priority at the time.
Yeah.
And then finally we're just like, okay, we'll bring him on.
Interesting. So along, obviously the season goes how it goes. One of the weirder things I think people have to do post show, which happens a lot more just because the way the season has been going, is you have to like announce a breakup, which I think is just a crazy concept. I'm always interested behind the scenes of that. And like, I don't mean to pry or anything, but like, it's so weird to me. Like, hey, like, all right, when do we want to post this? What should we say? How do we do this? To force people to like actually break up and then make them together come out and say like, whoa, we're breaking up. Like, how did that go behind the scenes to announce that? Because that's just a weird concept that someone shouldn't have to do.
I don't think you do. Blake and I did that on our own. We actually didn't tell producers. Like, producers found out when everyone else found out, because I had heard other couples who were broke up like told producers ahead of time as a courtesy, which you think is ideal. But then producers gonna keep on producing and get involved, you know. And when Blake and I broke up, we had that discussion of like, how do we want to do this, you know? And we both agreed like we wanted the same exact statement so that no one could like dissect it and be like, well, this was Blake's words versus Katie's, you know, like we were just like, no, this is like a joint, like, I don't want to say effort, but a joint statement. I think we even did like the joint like collab post.
That's always so funny to me. It's just like, it's such a weird dynamic. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Like, that's the downside of having a public relationship is people recognize when things aren't going well, or like notice when like you aren't spending time together. And I think had the holidays not been so close, I think maybe him and I could have taken more time to like, I don't know, maybe dissolve in the background. I don't really know. I just remember being like, if we don't see each other for Thanksgiving, like that's a big red flag. Like, people are gonna know something's up, you know?
Yeah.
So then we just announced it together.
You've said before, at least I thought I heard this, that you're not going to like announce if you're in like a new relationship, because you've done that before. Yeah. So I respect that 100%. That being said, can I announce it?
What relationship do you think I'm in?
The next one, whatever the next one is.
In general, you just want to announce it?
Yeah, I want to break that news. Like, breaking news, source Katie. She's in a relationship.
Look, I really don't know if I'll ever really announce one. Andy Dorfman was a past bachelorette, and she privately dated for I don't even know how long. And it wasn't until like a few weeks before her engagement that she then came out and was like, this is my boyfriend, probably because she knew an engagement was coming, you know? And so there's a part of me that's just like, I don't know that I ever want to announce it, because even like John and I, we only dated like 6 months. How freaking annoying to announce a relationship and then 6 months later be like, JK, we're over. Which is why, I don't know if you know, but my announcement was hardly an announcement, because I was just so annoyed. I was just like, yes, we're not together. And it like threw people off, because they're like, is she talking about the previous slide where she's holding a little baby pig, or is she talking about like what? I'm confused.
So it's a maybe. It's a maybe. I could announce it.
You can be at the wedding and then post a photo and be like, I found out who she's dating.
that's I mean, you're locking that in. That's on air. I have that clip. I'm going to the wedding.
Okay.
Go. Now I just need to get on Dylan and Hannah's good side again and get to that wedding, because we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Which of this is just a question for me personally. Which of your exes do you think I would be friends with? I'm always looking for new friends.
Ooh.
Knowing what you know about me personally.
Yeah.
What little you know.
I feel like you would enjoy Mikey.
That's what I was thinking too. I thought the same thing. Okay.
I think you would enjoy Mikey. That's the one that stands out the most.
Okay. Is there any Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think Michael's probably just too old for you.
You can still be boys though.
I feel like it would become a father-son dynamic. Like I feel like
That's
he'd give
fine.
you a ton of advice and it wouldn't be like a friendship, it'd be like a mentorship. But Mikey's a
That
good
would be
one.
fun.
I'm
Is
gonna
there
stick with Mikey.
anyone you think I would butt heads with?
Um, actually, no, like more on your side, like meaning like you're so like kind and like I can't see you butting heads with somebody. I could see you not liking somebody. Like I could see you thinking like,
Oh, I'm really
how
excited.
um no, sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to go down this path. No,
Do it.
no,
Do it.
no.
Come on.
My my mental peace is so good, and I'm not trying to drag anybody anymore.
Yeah,
Like
but think about it this way. Spin Zone, you're helping small business. If we get like a big scoop and you drop some drama, you're helping the small business grow. That's just a thought if you want to, but
I could say like, and I'll say like an entry level. I'll give you like
okay.
small. I don't think you would click with like Greg, Andrew, or Justin just for their own
Interesting.
TikTok personality. I just
Yeah.
don't, you're not like, you don't come off as like a TikToker, and they love TikTok. So you
Hmm.
guys will all be hanging out and you'd be like, I don't know what you gotta do. Let's watch the game. And they'd be like, let's do a TikTok. And you'd be like, no, I'm good.
Interesting. Yeah, well, my biggest platform is TikTok, but we can avoid that. But
Okay, but are you doing TikToks or are you just highlighting?
that's a good point. There's a difference. I'm not doing like the TikTok dance stuff or
You're
like
doing like
whatever.
a thing.
Never.
I'm unfollowing right
No,
away.
no, that's very fair. I would expect nothing less. No, it makes sense. I've tried to get Andrew on the show. We have a weird connection where someone who went to my high school played football, and he ended up taking Andrew's spot on his football team when Andrew got cast for the Bachelorette. So
Oh,
because it opened
interesting.
up a spot overseas, I think in Australia,
Yeah.
and so this kid from my high school took that
Yeah.
spot, so they know each other from that. So small world, kind of cool,
Wow.
cool moment there. I do have to kind of give you your flowers here. Well, last time we talked about the don't text your ex happy birthday thing. I think I'm just willing to say you're right at this point, just because I'm still catching heat from that one. I still get ricochet shots. People are like, oh, you text your ex? I'll get random DMs. I'm like, get over it. It's
Oh
fine.
my,
I'm
look,
still catching heat.
it comes with age and experience, and then suddenly you stop caring about what your ex thinks, or you stop caring that they think you're a nice guy because you texted him happy birthday. You're like, I am a nice guy, I don't need your validation. I am moving on in my life.
That being
But I
said,
mean, sorry, thank you.
yeah, no,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Yeah. Um, what's the last text you sent to an ex?
Ooh. I actually very recently told it. Sorry, Tommy's hair's everywhere. I recently told my ex situationship that we can no longer talk anymore.
Ooh. What do you
I'll read
categorize?
it.
Yeah, read it, please.
I have to mute out a name, but I'm gonna read
That's
it.
fine.
Um, hey, you know how we talked about one day we'd have to stop talking? It will be today.
No
I'm focused.
way.
I'm focused on blank, and I'm working on starting off with a strong foundation, and that just can't happen in a healthy way if you and I still talk from time to time.
Wow.
And he
That's
said, understood.
that day is today. That's awesome. That's great.
Well, we like it. It's not healthy, in my opinion, to have a like friendship with like an ex, and especially him. He was a situationship, so it was even more like friends with benefits. It was just like,
Mhm.
whatever. And we both kind of talked about like, okay, at some point though, one of us is gonna like be in something, and we gotta like focus on that, and we won't be able to like be friends. And so
That makes sense. In your dating mind, is a situationship like just something that's because for me, I think it's a will they date, won't they date, figuring that out. That's the situationship. For you, is it more like we're probably not going to date, but it's just fun, whatever? How would you define a situationship?
yeah, when him and I met, we both were like there was obviously like a crush, like a spark of some kind, but we weren't ready to like fully commit the way you would when you're pursuing someone to date. So we both were just like, oh, we're emotionally unavailable, but we still got to like hang out, and like we'd go to a concert, or we'd have drinks, or we'd like be at his house. And so it just kind of removed the pressure of like what it's like when you actually pursue someone, you know? So like, I don't know. It was just like, it was like friends with benefits, but after a certain amount of time, that mindset shifts because you are spending all this very easy, casual time and you're not develop feelings, you know? And so that's kind of what happened. And it got to the point where we're like, oh shoot, we have feelings, but like, we don't want to take this anywhere. So we had to cut it.
Makes sense. I honestly hated myself for asking that question. It felt very like Gen Z. What's a situationship? I hated that. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, I would stop listening to this podcast immediately. I didn't like that.
Someone said it's the relationship before the relationship is how
Yeah.
it's been described, you know? So it's like, in some ways, it's almost like a trial without the like mental investment.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it.
In my mind, it's just like the transition period where like we're not dating yet, but it could go there. We're just kind of feeling each other. I don't know. I think that's just date. Like dating is such a weird thing because you can go on a date with someone, not be dating, but you're technically dating because by the word you're. It's just weird. Dating's weird. I don't know.
I agree.
All right. What's here's a thing I want to try. I want to try this out. You don't have to answer this one because maybe it's like I don't know. But I want to do a thing where you say the one comment that you get a lot. I'm sure you get a lot of DMs, whatever comments. The one that bugs you the most, so we can get ahead of it. And then there's gonna be like a rough period where people commented a lot, maybe. But then eventually, like we're taking ownership of that comment back. I can go first if you want me to.
Go for it.
The one that gets me the most is every time I'll post a clip from the podcast, the first comment almost every single time will be like in some variation of in quotes like, oh, we should start a podcast, bro, or not everyone needs a podcast, that kind of stuff. For some reason that bothers me a lot. I don't know why, but I also haven't come up with a good comeback to it yet. So maybe that's it. But that's the one that bothers me the most. So everyone listening, keep commenting that. Now I own it. So if you comment that, I win.
I mean, it helps engagement. You should
Exactly.
literally your comment should be thank you for the engagement. It helps our podcast.
Yeah.
You're a real fan. People love being called a fan when they're like being a hater. You go, oh, this is real fan behavior.
Fan behavior. Like, yeah, I like that.
It's the best.
I invite them on the show. That's what I do. I said you should come on because I want one of them to take up. Yeah.
It's jealousy. It's whoever's commenting sees that like it's obviously like a good clip. You have a good following. People love whatever you're sharing, and then they're just mad. Like people who comment negative things are just mad at their own life or jealousy or like whatever. It's never like truly like a thing about you.
Yeah. Well, the ones that are actually about me don't bother me at all. The ones like they always get the appearance, whatever. That doesn't bother me. It's the ones about that because I'm like, oh, I'm actually working hard on that. What's the one for you? Anything stand out? The one that really just for some reason gets under your skin?
Anything related to comedy that's negative. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like people like this isn't funny, but like it is to other people. Like it's gone viral and people have commented that they enjoy it. And so when people are like, this isn't funny, I'm like, well, humor's subjective. So like, thank you for your feedback. you know? That'll piss me off. Or someone will be like, oh my gosh, all her stuff is Bachelor related. But like, if you've ever been to a real show, I have maybe like 2 bits about like the Bachelor and the rest is like totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So just anything comedy, because it's like same thing. I'm putting in the work. I'm writing. Yeah. Like, oh, does someone write for you? Do you read off a teleprompter? I'm like, oh my god, like you guys are discrediting everything that I'm like doing. Yeah. And comedy is very hard, you know. And so when you don't get the like recognition for it, or you're getting like shit on for it, you're just like, ouch, that hurts.
Yeah. See, hopefully this helps now. Now we have ownership over those comments. Every time someone does it, we win. Like we win. I mean, now, truly, we can say, listen.
Look, I get Instagram pays me for views on my reels. So all the haters blow that up because all that is taking me to the bank. So thank you so much.
I do want to dive into the comedy because I'm actually like really interested in that. For you, the comedy, did it? So like obviously you go through this really like traumatic experience. Basically, it's a traumatic experience, like being the Bachelorette. Like I don't think that's an overstatement, but do you view comedy as like part of the recovery or healing process from that? Or is it more a result of like, oh, I've recovered, I've healed from that. Now I feel free enough to go do and chase this dream. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I do think it's like being fully recovered, because comedy was something I was into before the show. If I don't know if how like what you know about me, but like my old TikTok videos show like a little sneak peek into the fact that I was going to start doing comedy, and just for fun, like a passion
Mhm.
project, but I was in such a mindset of like, the internet's watching, the internet's judging. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to make people upset. I don't want to be told I'm like cringy, all these things that I was just silent. Like I just kind of lived under my rock for like what felt like 2 years. And then finally I was like, screw it. Like I'm ready to like live my life the way I want to be, who I am. The right people are going to like come and be in that circle with me. And if you don't like me, that's okay. Not everyone's going to. And so
Mhm.
it really was just a moment of like recovery, of just like, I feel like myself again, and I'm ready to just go back to what I was doing before the show.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, obviously starting out comedy already, you have this big platform, and I'm sure obviously people like will say stuff about that, whatever. Do you think I am under the impression that it's probably harder to start out in comedy already having that platform and people knowing who you are? Because we're probably, when you're starting out normally, if you're just a small town comic, you're not performing a lot in front of a lot of people. You're doing open mics, you're kind of just grinding. And when you bomb, no one really cares or notices. For you, I feel like you're starting not ahead, but you're starting in a situation where you already have eyeballs on you. You can't kind of work out the kinks as much as maybe a lower level comic working up the ranks is. Do you feel that like it's almost harder?
Oh, for sure. I mean, people can sit here all day and be like, oh, she's doing these like gigs and whatnot. And it's like, the difference is there's pressure to like be great and show that you earned that. You're like, I am funny enough to be on this stage with these other comics. And so then that adds this like mind fuck of like, am I sorry, can I swear on here?
Yeah, you say whatever you want. Yeah.
Of just like, am I good enough? Am I ready? It gives you like anxiety a little bit. And so I've done several shows since December to now. And my last show, I say last show, is next week, because I want to take a break from doing the gigs and
Mhm.
continue to like be normal in the sense of doing these open mics, which even those are still hard because occasionally you do run into a fan at an open mic and you're just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. It's definitely harder. It's you want to do things the right way, but things are happening it backwards. You want to say yes to opportunity, but you don't want to like take advantage of it or ruin that opportunity.
Hmm.
Because you could have someone invite you to do a show at the Improv in LA, and then you are horrible. And then guess what?
Yeah.
They will never call you back again. So you can
Yeah.
sit here and complain all day that I got this gig, but I'm trying to make sure that I earned it and that I get a call back in the future.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure like right out the gate where I guess you have room for error. I think if you start off without that platform.
Mhm.
What advice, so I work with like a lot of comedians around indie. Like
Mhm.
we do certain shows together or whatever. What advice do you have for them coming up who they don't have that platform, they're just kind of growing up and like working on that? As being like a newer comic yourself, what
Mhm.
have you learned in that short time?
I mean, definitely. I mean, hopefully they're doing this, but do as many open mics as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, here in San Diego, we have one every day of the week that you can go to,
Mhm.
and you just really got to put in the effort. Um, Also, depending like how far you are in your new career, produce your own show. People are complaining about like gigs that I had. No, no, no. Two of those I produced myself, meaning like I organized it. I found comics to join me on it. I worked with the club. I was promoting the tickets, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's really the best way I think these comics can get the stage time that they're wanting, because they're reaching out to this like brewery and being like, hey, I would love to sell like 60 tickets here and have a stage for like an hour. Is that something you'd be interested in? And of course, a brewer is gonna be like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of beer being sold during that time.
Yeah.
So
No,
just really take ownership of your career path and like the direction you're going, and don't wait for the opportunity.
yeah, no, that's an interesting, like, not trend, but like I feel like we're moving in that direction where a lot of people, a lot of professions that people have pursued, you don't need that big network backing. You don't need someone else like telling you what to do, how to do it, like as an artist, performer, whatever. There's a lot of stuff you can do on your own, whether it's
Mm,
like even like broadcast journalism, stuff like that, like where you want to be on TV, like talking about the news. You could start a TikTok and
yep.
go to where these big networks are going to cover the news. Get a tripod, phone, boom, mic. You can do the exact same thing. If you're good at it, people will watch it. And same thing
Yeah.
with comedy. I feel like there's ways to go about it where like you don't maybe like 30 years ago, you needed someone to recognize you, think you're good, talented, and then put you on to other stuff. Where like it sounds like you can now take your own initiative and kind of organize your own stuff, which is really cool. It's like really cool because then basically the best will rise to the top. Like if you're good enough, you will get noticed. Where I feel like in the past that hasn't always been true. There's probably been good comics who just never got noticed in the right scene, which is tough.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you have the internet, you have social media, like you have all the tools there. It's just, are you going to use them?
Are you do you ever plan on doing some shows out here in the Midwest? You want to make your
I'm
way
sure
over here?
I would. Yeah.
You
And you
have
know
to let me
what?
know.
I hear comedy does really well in the Midwest, and I don't know like what that says about like the community, but like the opposite would be like in LA comedy is the hardest because
Yeah.
like everyone's like in that entertainment like world, everyone's kind of judging a little bit. Like the show I've done one show in LA so far, and it was just a whole different vibe. So I
Yeah.
look forward to like getting away from like California and visiting some other states
Yeah.
for sure.
I think I know what it is. Midwest, we're Midwest nice. So even if your joke stinks and it's not funny, we'll be so uncomfortable that we'll just laugh. So like you're gonna kill anywhere in Indiana. If you do, I don't there's like one spot maybe you do comedy in Indiana, but like Chicago, I was like closest big city. I I think you could probably kill there just because everyone's kind of Midwest nice. We're just gonna laugh no matter what, because either A, it's funny, or B, we're uncomfortable. So
Perfect.
it could
I'm
work.
putting that on the top of my list when I'm
Yeah.
because I will do some more shows right now. I'm just building more
Yeah.
content. I'm maybe at about like 10 minutes. I'd like to get to like 20 before I start doing another show. But yeah, maybe I'll put
Yeah.
that on the top of the
Yeah.
list.
At Chicago. Let me know. And I want to go out there. We'll watch it. I'll be front row and just like laughing at everything. Be great.
Yes.
I have a new segment on this show that's one episode old. I've only done it once. It's called Say Something Nice About My Friends. The last person to do it was Logan, who was backstage at one of your comedy shows like that day.
Oh yeah.
So say something nice about my friend Logan.
Oh, Logan has a really nice voice.
Voice.
He's a singer.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking like I knew he was singing. I thought you meant just like his
Yeah.
voice, normal talking voice. I was like, that's a
His
weird
man voice.
Yeah, I was like, that's a weird compliment. But yeah, he does. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you listened to
Yeah.
much of his music? You can just lie and say yeah.
I've heard it's like it feels rap-ish, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know what genre it is truly. It's not my type of music, but he seems pretty talented. So
Very, very cool dude. I enjoy talking to him. He's a good dude.
yeah, he's very sweet. It was nice that he came to my show. I didn't know he was going to be there. He's actually personal friends with Dave Neal, who was another comic on the show. So
Sweet. What kind of music do you listen to? I feel like I don't have a good read on that.
emo music.
Really?
I feel like you wouldn't know like any of it.
None. Wait. Okay, then what kind of movies do you watch?
Oh, you want to hear something funny? I was on a podcast called like Doug Benson Loves Movies or What Loves Movies or something like that. I didn't know that's what the podcast was about. I don't watch movies. I don't really watch movies. And so the whole podcast was like movie trivia, and I was like,
No
oh
way.
my God. Luckily though, we weren't on camera. And so when the questions were being asked, I'm like on my phone just trying to like figure out a good enough answer to give, because I was like, I have no idea.
Interesting. You would be terrible. We have a movie trivia show here called Battleflix.
Oh.
Well, maybe we're doing the tournament right now, but maybe we'll keep you off the list for season 2.
For sure, do not include me. I would just bring everyone down.
All right. So last thing I want to do here, kind of full circle moment. Last time we talked, we ranked, I think, top 10 green flags. I want to run through some red flags of mine, like personal red flags that I believe are just about me. And I just want you to just like see if you think they're red flag, green flag, whatever, just break them down.
So this is a red flag about you personally.
About me personally.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
They're like my worst qualities as a human being. Because I'm very self-aware. I understand where my downfalls are.
Green flag right there.
There we go. Starting off strong. Number 1 red flag. This is a more recent trend of mine. I like to DM athletes like, hey, good game. Or like, hey, like one of my favorite linebackers for the Minnesota Vikings just got cut like 2 days ago. I DM'd him like a really like heartfelt message. Like, and I know they'll never see it, but like
that's not true.
They might see it, but I'll DM like, hey, like good game. Keep your head up. don't listen to the haters, stuff like that.
I don't think it's a red flag because online people get a lot of hate. So I think it's a good thing that you're doing that. I can't relate because I don't have I can relate. Actually, I can relate. I did DM Caitlin Bristow when I was just a fan of the show, basically doing the same thing you just did, which was like, keep your head up.
Yeah.
Fuck the haters. You're doing your thing. So I would not say it's a red flag.
Okay. But I'm assuming you're not as emotionally attached to sports teams in that sense.
I'm not emotionally attached to really anything like that. No.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like the Vikings, people like we're outside of the season now, but the Vikings are my team. If they lose, it will ruin my day, maybe my week, especially like a playoff loss. It takes me a month to get over it. I'm just now, like I'm on the other end of it now. So I've survived, but that's another red flag. Just way too emotionally attached. I wish I wasn't like that, but I am.
I will just agree. That's red flag.
Next red flag. I'm a noisemaker. Like when I move, like I'll just like, so if I'm like going to stand up, I'm going to be like, ugh, like I'm just going to like make noise like an old man. And I don't realize I'm doing it. And someone pointed it out before.
Was it a girl or a guy?
I don't remember. It might've been like my mom. She was like, why are you like making noise like that? Cause I was like, like, I'll just like I'm falling apart, like as a human, which I am a little bit, but I'm just like a noisemaker. I make weird noises without knowing it.
See, I don't think it's a red flag or a green flag. I think when someone likes you, they're going to find that like endearing. They're like, oh, he's so cute. It's so cute when he does that. And then the second they start complaining about it, which is why I asked who said it, they're falling out of their little obsession with you. They're like, God, he is so annoying. He had those noises, you know? Yes. So I don't think it's a red flag.
I am starting to realize it now. I can't believe I've been going through I don't know if I've been doing it my whole life, but now I'm very aware of it. And I'll like get out of a chair. And I'm like, dude, why are you doing that? Like, why are you making a noise? And it's just the most like unhuman noise of all time. It just comes from like the gut. It's weird. I'm a weird person. Yeah. Third red flag. I love Nickelback. Careful. Be careful.
Like when's the last time you listened to them?
Yesterday.
Red flag.
On like my playlist.
Red flag. I mean, that's a weird one.
See, people
especially given your age.
And so what? Good music is good music.
I mean, it's interesting.
Whatever. All right, fine. I figured that one would go. People love to hate on Nickelback for no reason. Just give it. People need to give it more of a chance. Last one. I'm interested. This could be an interesting conversation. Just like unironically active on social media. Because I've met a lot of girls who are like, I want a guy who like doesn't have any social media, like no followers, all this stuff. But from my perspective, you can filter, like if you don't like me, you'll figure that out just by like scrolling through my Instagram. You can figure out if you like, I'm helping you filter me out easier. If you have a guy who has 300 followers and is private, you don't know anything about them beforehand. It's going to waste some of your time finding out you don't like them. So I could see either way, but people think that's a red flag, is being very active on social media.
I obviously would disagree given my background. But I think that also speaks to their level of confidence, because you have all these people, fans, girls, whoever, like watching you, loving you, DMing you. And so in my opinion, it speaks to someone's confidence that they're like, I don't want someone who is so loved by so many, you know, because that's kind of like what it's saying, in my opinion.
I think you're inflating how much love and affirmations I'm getting, but I'll take it 100%. I'll take that.
I mean, you're still doing this, so there's obviously some kind of reward. You're enjoying it, so that's important.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, it's keeping a roof over my head, so I'll do that. Yeah. All right. So last thing I want to ask you is a question I ask everyone who comes on this podcast, and you can answer it however you want, whatever comes to your mind, whatever first thing that pops into your head. What gets you up in the morning?
Ooh. Besides my cat?
Besides your cat. Or it could be your cat. That's your answer.
Interesting. It's so deep.
Yeah, I know. I like to keep people on their toes. I'll come in with a joke and then just be like super philosophical and then just like a joke sandwich.
Yeah. Damn. Why you got to throw that at me like that?
I know it's early. I know it's early out there.
Well, but because like obviously people you think like, okay, well, what am I passionate about? But like I'm in such a weird life that like it sounds stupid, like everything gets me up in the morning. I know I have so much to accomplish today and so much I want to do today. Um, you know, comedy is a huge one. Like I got to get up and there's things I have to finish in my life before I can do comedy. This sounds so dumb. Like now I feel like I'm just stumbling on my words,
Yeah.
but like I I have so much I want to do, so like literally it's like everything gets me up in the morning.
I yeah, I relate to that answer, but I also think there's like a flip side to it. Like, are you ever like overwhelmed and like feel like you need to like just take a breath and like step back? Because
Oh,
I'm the same way where like I like each day like there's so much to do. I could always be doing something since I'm kind of building my own thing here. There's always something to do. So then
yeah,
part of me you kind of feel guilty when you're not working, but also
totally.
you have to take that step back, which is really hard to do. So how do you
Yes.
balance that?
Well, I'm still figuring it out because like,
Yeah.
you sound very similar to me. Like as someone who can wants to do so many things and can do so many things, and you know they're like this, you know, and you're like, how do you get that organized? There's days during a week where I literally a whole day I'm just on the couch just sleeping. Like I just have
Yeah.
to recharge because I we don't know. I don't have it figured out. I want to do everything. I want to do comedy. I would love to do a podcast. I'm writing a TV show right now.
Hell yeah.
So it's just like so much. My mind is just like boom 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 boom, and that's again kind of goes back to what gets me up is like I have so much I'm trying to accomplish that that's not going to do it while I'm laying in bed.
Yeah, that's like my biggest pet peeve is when I feel unproductive as my, and it's like a bad pet peeve to have because I'm probably way too hard on myself in that
Yeah.
category where like I'll be working all day and then I'll think like, what did I do today? And then I know I did a lot and accomplished a lot, but then I feel like, oh, I didn't do enough. Like, why did these numbers aren't where I needed to be? I didn't edit this thing. It's like, oh shit, like
Oh,
calm
I
down.
feel that in
Yeah,
my soul. I
it's
really do.
it's a
So yeah.
frustrating life to live, but we take it day by day. That's why my answer to that question is always like I was like the blank slate kind of metaphor. Like each day, like is very different. I'm not going to an office working 9 to 5, which I'm very thankful
Yeah.
of, and I'm very appreciative of that. But also each day, like blank slate, I have no idea what I'm gonna do today. Like I have a plan, but it's very different from what yesterday looked like or the day before. So I kind of like that fluidity, I guess. I think that's kind of what gets me up in the morning, which is but yeah, there's a controlled chaos to it, I think, which I think you kind of relate to.
Oh, totally. I mean, when I was sick for like a week, I hated myself because I
Mm,
couldn't do anything. But every day that I was sick was like one less day of being productive and achieving the
yeah,
things I wanted to achieve.
100%. I hate being sick. Well, yeah, I'm excited for all the stuff you got coming up. Comedy, TV show would be sweet. And
That
obviously,
one's exciting.
anytime you want to do a podcast, hit me up. I'm always available.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, let people know what. Obviously, you're taking a break from comedy and stuff like that, maybe from shows.
Yeah.
But what can people look forward to? Where should people check you out? What should people stay tuned for?
Yeah. I mean, Instagram's like the hub for everything else. So the Katie Thurston on Instagram where people can find me. If you want like an in-depth look at more things, I have a great subscriber family that's really fun. They get to see things every day. I do have a comedy show next Saturday, the 18th in LA. So if you're trying to make a show, that's your last chance, probably until like May. But otherwise, that's where I will be announcing future shows and dates.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Katie. This was fun. I'm glad we got to do this again. Glad we got to chat.
Yes, thanks for having me.